morning if you're on the West Coast, or good evening if you're maybe over in Europe or possibly Asia. I'm Scott, that's Ryan, and today on Tales from the Film Set, we're doing a chat with Mr. Leroy Patterson down below, sitting there basically motionless because pretending like his camera doesn't work. We can do that too.
I'm not that was a real thing. That was a real thing that just happened.
Basically made his AEW debut last month, made his TBS Big Show premiere yesterday, which they were going to be tying a little bit together, so we're going to be talking a bit about that. Also, at the same time, he is on a one-man quest to track down every single copy of a particular Xbox game that was available only at Burger King for a whopping price of $3.99. So we are going to be talking about Sneak King, which I've always been loving that title, but I have some questions in regards to that as well. But dude, how you doing, man?
Things are great. Yeah, can't complain. Real happy with all the fun stuff going on.
Dude, you should be, man. You know, you in your case, I mean, I remember you back from AGT because we were both in the same season at that point. Yours being far, more painful than mine, which we're going to definitely go into a little bit of that too. If that's some kind of a thing where it's just, it makes you happy, it makes you smile. You know, what is it about basically pain that you really enjoy? So, turn it over to you.
It's not a sexual thing at all. I'm very middle ground with pain. I don't enjoy it, but it doesn't bother me as much. So I use that to do really dumb stuff on stage. When I'm performing on stage, I have such an adrenaline rush going, and I've got a high pain tolerance to begin with. You know, it doesn't bother me so much. So, I usually don't feel. It's very rare, very, very rare that I actually feel anything on stage. I feel it afterward at the hotel, but on stage, I don't feel a thing.
You know, so when you did AGT, actually, you know what? Before we get to AGT, because AGT tied in a little bit with what you did last night for Big Show.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Gong Show first, because the Gong Show, you ran half naked through a giant pile. Basically, I don't know how you describe it, but how many weed records did you run through?
6 or 8, and we had them set up in like a tunnel down a path, and so it was the first time I had ever done that too. I'd been hit with a weed whacker before, but just like once. And when we were pitching ideas for the show, I had pitched a bunch, and they were like, "No." I was like, "What if we took like a hall, or just made a deadly hallway of weed whackers?" And they were like, "Oh my god, yes!" And I was like, "Oh my god, yes! All right, let's do it."
Having been hit by weed whackers myself, yes, it is not fun.
Yeah, wasn't great. That's one stunt that I don't know if I'd do it again. We'll see if the price is right or the situation's right. Then I guess I'm down. But yeah, that was a fun one time deal.
I mean, in this case here, some people walk over flames, walk over hot coals, things like that. You're just like, you know what? I'm going through garden equipment. So
hey, and I got to keep 2 of them. So my lawn has never looked better.
Nice. So basically, I got to ask you this to get going. How did you get started in this, and why did you get started in this?
Yeah. That's always the interesting thing, because indies are always like so sketchy. It's like you always worry about if they're really professional, if they're just gonna go ahead and brutalize their bodies for the fun of it. So you have to have a certain mentality to be able to constantly do it.
Yeah, it started just as a kid. I liked jumping off the stuff at the park, the giant the swing sets or the big slides or whatever, and it got such a reaction. I like that reaction. So I carried that through into high school. When I freshman year, I started backyard wrestling, and I was on MTV True Life. I'm a backyard wrestler. That was filmed at my house. I was on the cover of Best of Backyard Wrestling Volume 2. So we had a bunch of success with backyard wrestling. We were putting on some really fun shows and doing really stupid, crazy stuff every weekend. And so I wanted to keep following that rush, and I loved pro wrestling. And I finally found a wrestling school that would take me in at 17. And that was the XPW Asylum. And so I went through the school, and then I got to make my debut in XPW as Leroy the Ring Crew guy. And
take me back, man.
That was a wild 2 years or 3 years or however long I was at XPW. It was, they just had an episode of Dark Side of the Ring about XPW, and it was very legit. A lot of the stuff that was described.
That's the thing. People thought it was legit, but it was like MTV, so it's like legit.
Yeah. No, it was done really well. and then so I bounced around after I left XPW. I bounced around for a while, but I couldn't find a wrestling place that I really liked and wanted to stay at. So I started kind of dipping back into the reality TV world. I liked the way True Life went. So I was like, okay, let's see what else I can find. And I did a show called Solitary, where it was on the Fox reality channel. They locked us in a room and just tortured us for days. It was
I do remember that. Yes.
Yeah, I was.
It was between that and what was it? Temptation Island that I was always going back and forth with.
Temptation Island.
Yeah, fun stuff.
Please tell me you applied for that one at least.
No, I've been in a relationship for a long time, so the dating shows have not been something that's look at me. I don't know if I'm dating show material. So, but I Solitary went so well that I started kind of bouncing around. I did Wipeout, I did American Ninja Warrior, I did a bunch of others, and then I got AGT, and AGT changed everything because I went from having to audition and having to go through, the rat race and going through all the BS just to get there. And now people were hitting me up. And so I got to do a bunch of international shows. I did Germany's Got Talent, Italy, France, Romania. I got to do a Gong Show. And so now I don't really have to audition anymore. People kind of hit me up and I send them a demo reel that I have. And they're like, oh, crap. Yeah, this guy's legit. Let's do it. So it's definitely worked out, and it's been a ton of fun. So I try to do a reality show every year, and nearly every year I've been successful. Last year, because COVID didn't happen, but I was supposed to do Go Big Show last year. But with my weight and everything, I didn't want to risk getting infected. Even though they said they had great protocols set up and no one got sick, so it seemed like it did. I just didn't want to risk it. So, but luckily I got to come and do season 2, and that aired last night. It was awesome.
Yeah. Now, in this case, basically, we have to address the big elephant in the room when it comes to that. Cody, I meant that for okay. You want to say pink elephant in the room? How's Cody? Obviously, was very, very slow when it came to scoring you. Obviously, in your particular case, you're sitting there. Both of you guys are sitting there. And, the scores are going up and up and up and up and up. And he's just sitting there. He's drinking coffee. He's minding his own business. And you were probably sitting there in the back of your mind saying, God damn it, will you hit that thing, please?
Part of it was so fun. Like, that's brilliant. Like, that's a smart pro wrestling mind right there. Sell it, play it out, build that tension, because it could have still gone either way. He could have been like blah 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 blah, blam, and then hit it all the way, or like he did, just tap it and give us 2 points, which threw off the average of our so bad that I am now the lowest scoring person in Go Big Show history. Which I'll take it. I'll take the infamy. I want a T-shirt that says "Low Score Leroy Patterson" on it. I'm about to embrace that. I love that.
You know what? Props to you. Now, when you did AGT, how many X's did you get? And do you remember that?
I got 3 X's. Round 1, I got 3 yeses and 1 no. So Heidi Klum was a no. The other, Howard Stern and Mel B and Howie Mandel, they were all yeses, which shocked me. I'm used to going on reality shows and kind of being like the idiot. Like, I know I'm not going to do well on American Ninja Warrior, but I'm there for the laughs and I'm there for the good times and the entertainment. And that's how you wipe out. Same thing. Even though I beat the first round, there was no way I was moving on to round 2. So I went in with that mindset every time that I'm there to be the jester, the clown, just to have fun, and get eliminated in the first round. And then AGT, I'm shocked that Mel B said yes and they moved me on, because you could see the legitimate shock on my face. And I walk backstage and my wife is like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "What the fuck just happened?" Like, how did this happen? I didn't have an idea for round 2. And then round 2, the problem was every idea I pitched was way too violent and way too bloody for what they wanted. I'm shocked they even did the thumbtacks. And so we came up with mouse traps, which don't look the greatest on TV. And then Piers Morgan just ripped me a new one and just ripped me apart on round 2. So I didn't move on past that, but I'm super shocked to be able to go back and super thankful for it.
You got some love out of it. 11 million people basically watch you. 3 yeses out of that. Go ahead, Ryan. I'm sorry.
Hold on. So you actually pitched other ideas that were more gruesome and more bloody than what you actually did?
Oh yeah, big time.
Like, what were you suggesting?
Yeah.
So one of them was the I wanted to do, it was going to be two different stunts. It was going to be, one was going to be the hallway of weed whackers that I ended up doing on Gong Show. So that was a holdover idea from AGT. But I wanted to run through that and then flip off a stage into it would be a trampoline, but with the middle removed and replaced with barbed wire. Be like a spider barbed wire. So that's like go through the weed whackers, front flip into the barbed wire. Was like my round 3 idea if I had moved on. And I also wanted to do, I haven't been able to do this one yet. I don't know logistically if we can make it happen, but I'd love to do a thing where I do kind of like a dance number up like this like flight of stairs. And as I'm going up, I'm getting like tased or slapped or whatever. It's unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable. I'm getting hit with something. But like, I make my way up the staircase, and then at the very top, there's 2 walls that are constructed of light tubes, like those long halogen light bulbs. It would be walls, like 2 giant walls that would come in and like crush me. So it'd be like, and then shatter everywhere. I'd hopefully be okay after that. Maybe throw on a pair of sunglasses or something to protect the eyes, but something like that. Yeah, just a big like crush and then wham. You're unbelievable. Kind of thing was always something I wanted to try, but I just haven't found the right show for yet.
Now, you mentioned in this case you've been married. How long have you been married?
We've been together for 16 years now, married for 8 of those.
Well, congratulations, first off, on that. That's huge. But you've been, AGT was 7 years ago, if I remember. Yeah, because season 10 for the two of us was 2015. So you were newlywed at that point. Had AGT, you had Gong Show. I have to ask, what does she say that you do for a living when someone asks?
I mean, aside from all this, I'm the senior video editor at Giphy. So I make animations all day, and I work for a super cool company, and they take really good care of us. So she usually goes that route. He's a video editor. He works for these companies.
The safe route.
Yeah. She doesn't often mention it until someone goes, I think I saw your husband on TV on a commercial. I was watching Friends, and a commercial popped up, and I think I saw your husband. So that happens a lot, and then people usually find out, and we got to, I send them the days and days of footage that I have, and if they want to see it. And so, yeah, she's not the biggest fan of it, but it's something that we were talking about it last night. She was like, I thought you would have grown out of it by now. She's like, I know you did it when we were together, and I was fine with that, but I thought, you'd either be dead or over it by now, and you're not. But, but she's also very supportive and is always there for me, and is always got my back, no matter what I decide to do. So
she had the $1 million insurance policy all signed out, ready to go, just in case.
Oh yeah. My job has a very good life insurance policy, so she said either way. She says she likes me just a little bit more than the $1 million would be, So right now things are going well, but she kind of hated it up until we started doing the international stuff, and she saw what it was, because before it's hard to justify when I'm because I for 10 years I co-ran a viral video stunt team where we would do crazy stunts and sell them to TV shows, and it was a fun, crazy thing, but to see where it would go is something that she needed to see before she was like, oh, okay, I get it now. But through that whole time, though, she's always been supportive.
But yeah, once it became real, it became something.
You mentioned that because obviously next week we have Jackass Forever coming out, and that's pretty much in the same vein of the kind of work that you do. Do you ever see that sort of stuff and be like, oh, I can do better than that, or the stuff I have is like much more brutal? Or have you seen that stuff and be like, that's for them, I've got my thing?
I love what they do. They especially the earlier like CKY Big Brother stuff is what helped me realize that there's a market for that kind of stuff, and what kind of led we had already been filming stupid stunts, but it gave us a package to put it in and to be able to sell and market and stuff. Finding out that there was a market for that kind of activity and that kind of footage, I was like, oh my God, we're set. This is great. We had been back at wrestling for years up to that point until the first, and then the first CKY came out. We're like, this is all okay. Yes, we can do this, So it was definitely oh my God, that's awesome. I want to do that. And then Jackass went huge, and it was just like, I need to get in contact with him. We need to do something. Like, this is great. And a buddy of mine is one of the new cast members in the movie.
Okay.
His name's Zach, and he's amazing. I mean, out of any of us, there's 5 people that I feel should go on to Jackass, and he's one of them. And the fact that he's there and he's doing it, I am equal parts jealous as I am insanely proud of him. Like, he has been crushing it for so long, and to see him be on such a level and hopefully to continue on after that, like, it's amazing. I'm super happy for him, and I can't wait to be watching his and everyone else's performance in the theater in the next week or 2.
Oh, I didn't know
now,
that. Yes, congratulations to him.
Yeah. Now, in this kind of case, you've been doing this, for years at this point. Is this something that you're going to see yourself doing when you're like 80 with a walker? I mean, what do you want to be when you grow up, kind of?
Yeah. So I always kind of put a limit on myself. I always tell myself that because I'm against painkillers just for personal use.
Oh,
I mean, if other people need them, that's fine. But like, I don't even like taking Tylenol if my pain is a result of something I did on stage or some stupid stunt. Because I've seen too many people that I highly respect and idolize even go down the path of painkillers, and it becomes a really, really bad thing. And I never wanted to get to that. So it was always if I need something like that to get through the day, or self-medicating with like alcohol or weed or something, if I need that to get through the day, I need to stop. I don't need to do this anymore. I need to quit. And luckily I've never gotten to that point. I feel like, especially in the last 2 years, I've been smart about my performances. I'm not doing it every single weekend like I used to. So I'm waiting for the big moments, the shows like this, times where I feel like it's totally worth it. I pre-COVID, I was performing a bunch at a place called the Pack Theater in Hollywood. And at least once a month, I do some really stupid, crazy stunt where I'm like humping mouse traps, or I'm, getting kicked in the groin 30 times in a row, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I find smart ways. I'm smart enough to do dumb things that I do without dying is the way I've always thought about it. So I plan to keep going for as long as my body feels fine. And if I ever get to the point where I'm like, maybe I should stop, then I'm probably going to stop. But until then, the pain train keeps on rolling.
I'll be honest, I watched it when I watched Go Big last night, Go Big Show last night, and I saw the Thumbtacks. Obviously, I knew the Thumbtacks from AGT, but still, it was one of those things. 2 things I want to point out in this particular case. One, it made my ass pucker. There's just something about that. I mean, I've dealt with torn rotator disc. I've gone through that on sets before, but there's something about needles inside skin that just makes me really, really good. So congratulations. Basically, my butt puckered so much that it pretty much went right up into my throat there. But one thing
he's not a wrestling person. That's the thing. I'm a wrestling person, so I would see something like that. They're like like XPW or ECW or any of the indies. It's like that's like tried and true. That's Cactus Jack material.
By the way, for the record, my wife did say that Cody was being dickish to you. Just want to point that out. So my wife supports you in the fact that she's like, some of the things that were said, and the fact that you weren't raising, he wasn't moving the lever or anything like that. She's like, he's really being dickish right now. But like I said, same thing.
I get it though. Like he's his whole family's lineage is based in wrestling. Like And what I was doing, even the Human Tackboard Act is kind of a mockery of wrestling. It's taking those things and putting them in a very different context that some people really don't like. I found out over the years, people are like, "Oh, you're making a mockery of the sport," but I get it. And so I 100%. But I've never had anybody so mean to me, and then so nice with offering me a spot in AEW. Like,
and it's funny because
he wanted to me at that point, because it was all made up for after, but I get it. He's got to defend wrestling as his legacy, and he's got to defend all that. So I completely 100% understood and even agreed with his point of view on it.
But what was nice about it was that outfit. Yeah, he did say it's the worst act I ever saw. He gave you the 2 swords. But in this case here, you said he had to defend everything, and you came out of it. It became, in a way, it's almost its own audition tape. Because you showed charisma, personality, you showed the energy and the desire to take this to the wrestling level. And you sold a guy who probably gets pitched all the time by every Tom, Dick, and Harry that's out there to be like, I want to be a wrestler. He's okay, that's nice. He gave you a spot. because he saw your passion and your commitment to be like, I want this. And that's going to tie into obviously what happened about a month ago with AEW, which, in this case, I want to talk to you a little bit about that, because if you did not have Go Big Show, you would not have had AEW last month. And that is really cool that it became in its own way, its own audition tape, which was probably the game plan from the beginning, but it paid off for you. And with AEW, I mean, my God, congratulations, man.
Thank you so much.
Hey,
there
it is. Yep.
Love it.
They'll have the shirt from All Out back when COVID wasn't a thing.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool.
So needless to say, I'm a fan more so than Scott is, but nothing against Scott. I'm just saying.
No, that's fine. But I mean, in this case, been like Tony Khan came out and said that your performance was 5-star. Reddit was arguing. There was a huge debate on Reddit about which one was the best comedy act for AEW for the year in the last year.
Yeah,
and you're right in there. So that's friggin' huge. Congratulations.
Yeah, which is something to say for AEW, because I can't say that they have many like comedy acts. I mean, they have people that go ahead and they throw like a few barbs here and there. You got the Orange Cassidy, the CM Punk. They'll go ahead and do a little something that'll get like a nice cheer. But comedy acts, you're usually only seeing like WWE, and they're just so childish to a certain extent. Whereas you have at least this brand of humor, which is definitely more dedicated to the old school of wrestling, definitely dedicated to an older fan base. Now, obviously, you would perform other places other than AEW. I'm sure you probably tour around, or if something comes in town, you go ahead and try out with them and see if there's something you can do with them. What is the possibility that we could see you throughout the year, more places, like if ever you went on tour?
So as far as wrestling goes, it's more about the fun and the experience and the place to me than just trying to get a match anywhere. Because I did that. I bounced around back in early 2000 to a bunch of different wrestling federations, and a lot of them, there were some great ones, but for the most part, they just like the backstage locker. I love that feeling of we're a bunch of friends putting on a really cool show to entertain people. I want that feeling of we're like a traveling circus, or we're a bunch of people who really enjoy being around each other. And there's certain locker rooms where that doesn't feel like it. Everyone's either got an ego, or they're trying to do whatever they can to protect their spot, or they're just mean, or there's 1,000 things that you run into, and I'm just like, it's just not worth it.
The locker room courts and stuff like that. The seniority.
This forced respect stuff where, like, if you accidentally miss shaking someone's hand, they might try to cripple you in the ring. Like, I don't like that. That bothers me, and I feel like everyone there should just be cool and a good time. And I felt that at AEW. Before I had that at Show Wrestling, I was there for 5 years. And we did shows in Vegas and LA with Sin Bodhi. He was running the thing, and it was awesome. It's people that I still talk to all the time to this day. Where we would just put on this really crazy show, like we do a battle royal, and then all of a sudden these giant octopus tentacles would come out, and we have to fight off the giant octopus in the middle of a battle royal, and you've got like Crime Time fighting an octopus. It's the funniest stuff.
That's classic.
That makes sense to me. That is something I like to do. And AEW makes it. Backstage, I was super nervous because I hadn't wrestled since 2016, and I wasn't sure if I remembered. You hope it's like hopping on a bike and you remember how to do it, and boom, you're good to go. But I wasn't sure, and so for as nervous and scared as I was, everyone there was really cool, just super nice. And it was like friends hanging out, getting ready to put on a cool show.
Yeah, I will say you definitely didn't show anywhere of like ring rust or anything like that.
So. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I the reason my stomach was so floppy was because someone on Reddit had mentioned. I was like, oh, good, they noticed. Was if you look at it side by side, my photo on Go Big Show from last night, which we filmed in August, and my photo from AEW, which we filmed in December, I lost 35 pounds at that point. Now I'm at 45, but like I lost a ton of weight. So instead of, so my stomach on Go Big Show feels very full and is, you know, like solid. Whereas on AEW Dark, it was very swingy and floppy, which was hilarious, I thought, for, you know, what was going on. But I got in like major shape to try to be able to hang for 5 minutes in a ring. Because during COVID, I just, not that I stopped caring, but I was just like, I'm not filming anything. I'm not doing anything. I'm going to eat all the cookies I want to eat. And it was a
big
year and a half.
For everybody, so. But
yeah,
but when you're talented enough, just let it shine through. You know.
Yeah, you know. Yeah. But I know when you came on, I'm looking at it, it's like he looks a little thinner than he looked like yesterday.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
not to brag, but you know,
it's nice.
Mostly gone.
Whoa, I'm jealous.
Getting there. I'm trying.
Tell me how. Damn.
I'm staying at this level right here.
It's really just, it's changing your diet and how much activity you get. Like at the beginning, I was like, dude, I can run on a treadmill. Like my knees are killing me. Like this ain't gonna work. So I started going to thrift stores. I love retro game hunting, as you can see.
We're gonna get to that one.
I would go to thrift stores every day and walk around. I made a point every single day on my lunch break. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna walk around. I'm gonna grab some stuff, and then that helped. And then I started getting a little bit more stamina. And then I bought some weights, and I just some low 10-pound weights, and started lifting those every single night before bed, doing some sit-ups, some push-ups, and then just changed my diet. I cut out all soda, which killed me. There was a good week where I was just an emotional mess because I was just detoxing from caffeine and sugars and everything.
Oh yeah.
I cut out any kind of, I desperately miss my 2 a.m. cereal bowls before going to bed. Cut all that out. I stopped eating past 10 p.m. You know, it's just about changing your diet, finding things you like to substitute. Like iced tea is been my savior, and water. You know, just drinking much water. But just cutting out all the bad, trying to eat a lot better, and then just knowing that it's a marathon. It's not a race. You know, and it's not a, well, you know, you can't do it for work out for a week and do really good, and then have a cheat weekend where you eat an entire bin of Oreos, like it because it negates all that work you just did, and you're like, it's not working. I don't know, because that was my problem. I'd be like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, and then I'm like, then you just have to reevaluate, weigh yourself every morning, check the scale, and you're like, okay, well, eating 2 burgers at Burger King added a bunch of weight to me. Okay, let's maybe just one next time. Maybe the chicken sandwich. Maybe there's other options, and then just portion control. Just trying to be better. Like it sucks, but it works. It's just about making those changes mentally so that you're better off for, and it's easier. It gets a little easier, which is great. And being able to like bend over and not go, oh, every time is a positive.
Please, I was already laughing at the Oreos because I've found myself a couple of nights where it's like, oh my God, there's only one sleeve left. I better save that for tomorrow.
Yeah, you're like,
and then 5 hours later, it's like, nah, screw it. I know I'm gonna have it.
No, yesterday me ate all the Oreos. Not today me. Today me ain't gonna do that. It's tough. I mean, you get yourself in that mindset, and then you're like, well, who cares? You're not, if you're not looking at the scale every day. If you're not, it's really hard to be like, I've done that for, and I mean, after we'll see what happens with AEW, but maybe I'll go back to it. I don't know.
Is that part of your where you're going to put the weight back on again? So,
I mean, not intentionally, but I also might, be like, well, a soda every other day isn't a it's
treat yourself.
We'll find a happy balance. That's what life's about. Is finding a happy balance, finding that moderation. Putting something cold turkey is tough and sometimes effective, but it's also not a fun way to live. If you're only doing this, you're only doing that, and that's it forever. Like, yeah, you're gonna get results, but you're also gonna be miserable the entire time. So just find moderation. Take what if what you're doing, if you're unhappy, if it's not working, then cut it down by some, and then find some healthier options to add to it, and then see where you go.
So I thought it might be like an aversion therapy thing. Like you have like your 20 ounces of like soda or something, and then you fall on the tax, or you go through the weed whackers. So you just attribute that feeling to like this drinking. It's like, maybe I'll just have a glass of milk. You're like,
oh man, I don't want the blood wounds today. I'm getting a flavored water. I'll just drink the bubbly.
But
actually, you mentioned Scott, you want to talk about the Burger King stuff since you mentioned Burger King.
Yep.
You said you started your whole like weight loss and everything with the walking around, going to the games. Mm-hmm. Look, I'm looking at that whole rack back there. It's just that is like, how many do you think you have right now?
Yeah, it's tough to see, but there's more shelves that go that way, and then there's another shelf here with all the video game systems all connected to a projector, so I can play on the screen right there. I've got, as far as non-Sneak King titles, physical copies, I've got over 2,500 games. I've got 7 arcade machines. I've got 72 systems.
72 systems?
Yeah, that's like counting like handheld.
What do you have?
I'm sorry, what?
What systems don't you have? Because I'm trying to think basically how many overall systems they've had going back to. I mean, even if you go back like like Atari, or
if you count like the main 3 and then the one-offs like the Neo Geos and the Ataris and everything like that, and then I'm sure there's probably like a Famicom or something from Japan.
The 2 I'm still trying to really get my hands on are like the Sega Nomad and the Neo Geo.
Really?
Oh, you don't have a Neo Geo?
I would have figured that would be too bad to find. I
those
figured
games are so expensive.
Dude, come to Too Many Games in Philadelphia when they have it again. I can guarantee you're going to find one there.
Oh, great. Yeah, it's definitely like I'd like to eventually. During COVID, the company I work for got bought out by Facebook. And so I was so desperate. I usually don't like going on eBay. I like to hunt. I like finding it, live in person. Okay. But I kind of freaked out about not being able to go game shopping, and so I bought 4 or 5 retro systems off of eBay one day because I was dying. I got a CDI and a 3DO and. Fun obscure systems that
do
are.
Do you have terrible. The Zelda games though?
Oh God, no.
I need the Zeldas and I need the Mario.
Mario.
Contact the Game Grumps over in California. I'm thinking they'll just give away their
Zelda.
Right?
But they're down with them.
But yeah, you mentioned Neo Geo. Those games were $200 back in the 90s. I don't know what
they're still crazy expensive. Yeah. There's a game store by my house that they have a shelf of them, and I look at them every time I go by. And I'm like, one day I'm going to start getting into those, but not yet. Right now, I'm collecting nearly everything else though, and it's gone well so far. And then
basically one specific Xbox game, which I begs the question: why just Sneak King and why not the other 2? Because there were 3 in total. I remember there was a card game, and there was something else as well, but.
Big Bumpin' and Pocket Bike Racer.
Okay.
So I went with Sneak King because I bought the 3 games when they came out in 2006 at Burger King. I got my combo meal and I paid $4.99 for the games. So I had a copy of each. And then in 2016, right before I went to go do AGT, I was out buying stuff for my costume or whatever. And I stopped in a dollar store and they had a rack of 50 copies of Sneak King for $1 each. Right. And I was like, oh my God, that is so funny. I like the game. I think it's a fun game, but I thought it was such a goofy thing. I was like, I could either have them, and give them out as gifts for Christmas. I was like, that'd be so fun. It's like everyone gets a Sneak King, and then people are mad, and then I give them the real gifts. And I was like, so I bought all 50, and I had to explain to my wife, like, look, this is funny. I know we're about to go on a trip to New York, but this is funny. And I had them on my shelf for a little while, and I was just like, wow, that makes me laugh, having a collection of one game, of Burger King, Xbox, So, and then I got to thinking, I was like, well, there's like that Pepsi version of Space Invaders that was made just for the people of Pepsi, and that thing worth a lot.
Oh yeah.
This thing has some unique aspects to it. Is that the only place that it was sold at retail was at Burger King, and it's got both it's such a small game. It's got both the Xbox and the Xbox 360 version on the disc. It's not like a backwards compatible thing. They actually just have it on both. And so there's some rarities to it, and I was like, maybe one day it's worth something. And then I'm sitting on a treasure trove of awesomeness, or it's just a really funny joke that over the last 20 years, 16 years or whatever, I've spent, $2,000 on, and it still makes me laugh. So who cares? But yeah,
this is like your NFT, your Bitcoin. This is
This is my crypto. my crypto. And so I had the first 50 and I was like, this is funny. I'm just going to keep collecting them. So anytime I'd go to GameStop, they were always $1 or a mom and pop shop. They'd have them for super cheap. And so I'd be like, give me all the copies you have. And they were like, really? All right. And they'd pull out 8 copies from the drawers and stuff. So I just started doing that for years. And then over, 10 years or so, or not 10 years, ever since 2016, I thought it was just funny, and just kept it going. And then I eventually had like 200 copies, and I just gotten the vaccine, and I felt a little more comfortable to go outside again. And I in that time I'd gotten hooked on channels like Phoenix Resale or Hidden Metal Jesus, or there's a bunch of other Retro Rick, where they go around to like thrift stores and either flip games or get them for their collection. And I was just like, that's such a cool way to do it. Instead of dropping $200 on 6 games at a game store, I can drop $200 on like 30 games at a thrift store, and then maybe get something really cool, which has happened. I one time I went to a thrift store and got $500 worth of GameCube games. They had like all the Zelda, Mario Kart, Smash Bros. They had all of them just in a stack for $3 each. And I was like, oh my God. And I felt like I was robbing the store. Buying it. It's rare, but it's a fun thrill to chase, and it's not hurting anyone. So, I started, I was like, but I got hooked on those channels. So I was like, I want to make one, but I want to add a narrative to it. I want to use all the goofy video editing techniques I have. I want to have an animated sidekick. I want to do all this stuff. And then so me and my buddy Howdy Price, who was on the Go Big Show with me and on AEW, we started a channel called the Sneak Kings with a Z at the end, because we're extreme 2001 style. And so, and we started a YouTube channel where we're going to go around and collect as many copies of Sneak King as possible. And my awesome, amazing wife Facebook messaged me and sent me this Facebook marketplace ad. They were selling 1,000 copies of Sneak King in Fresno. And I was just like, okay. Oh my God. So episode 2, we drove out to Fresno and bought 1,000 copies and stuffed them into the car and made it back. And immediately the flow of the show was thrown off, because I'm like, we went from 0 to 1 million in 2 episodes. How do we top this? And then so we haven't filmed an episode for it yet, but since then we went back out to Fresno because someone else had 2,900 copies of all 3 Burger King games. And I asked, I was like, can I just give you $40 for just the Sneak Kings? And he's like, look, I want these out of my house so bad. I'll give you $40 for all 2,900 copies. And we're like, all right. So we packed as many as we could into the car. I had to do 2 trips. But so yeah, I've got. Sorry, where am I at? I don't know the exact number, but it's over 2,800 copies of Sneak King, and probably 600 or 700 of the other 2 that we're working on getting rid of right now, either to sell some to someone or blow them up, whatever we're gonna do. I don't know. Just throw them off buildings and hope they don't hurt anybody. I don't know.
Chuck them at birds or something. I don't know.
Frisbee. Feed them to animals. I think they're edible. They're from birds.
If you mash them up enough, you turn it into a fine powder.
Make a paste. There's nutritions in there somewhere. But yeah, it's everything is food. Sorry, whatever it takes. It's been a really fun voyage. It's not gonna stop for now. As long as it keeps making me laugh, as long as I can look down at a giant pile of these and think that it's a really stupid joke and really funny, I'm in. If it ever gets to the point where I'm like, all right, well, I think we're going to need to get a new storage facility for these things, then no, I'm not spending that kind of money to keep the joke going. But right now they're just in a bunch of crates in my office or in my garage. Hanging out in boxes and enjoying the life, and then I keep 1 or 2 in here just for to whenever I get the urge to play, I'm good to go. And yeah, as long as it's funny, I'm down.
Show them off on fledgling entertainment networks like stream like we have here on Television Film Set. So just have one handy, basically to show off. Yes, I do actually collect them.
Yeah, it's not CGI.
No.
Yeah, you don't want those off-brand ones. Those fake ones.
Yeah.
Exactly. So But yeah,
I can't even imagine. Like
McDonald's had MC Kids. There was a Domino's one with the Noid back in the 80s.
Yeah, Yo Noid.
Oh yeah, no, the NES one is terrible. God.
Yeah, well, you mentioned you mentioned Pepsi Roll. There's also Pepsi Man too for PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think like other clear tie-ins that exist. I'm struggling a little bit there.
I mean, there's those theme park games that are, there's like the Universal one, which is decent. There's the Adventures in the Magic Kingdom, which is one of my favorite Nintendo games. That was a ton of fun.
But anything specific to food, like Quick Check never came, or Wawa never came out with like a game or anything like that.
No, but there was individual brand ones, like the Cool Spot from 7-Up that had its own game.
Yeah. Then California Raisins, they ever have one? I guess they probably did.
M&M's definitely had them.
Yeah.
Raisins probably had one in the 80s, probably like, one of those 8-bit pixelated ones. The Raisin
Doritos has one on the 360 called Crash Course. That's fun.
Oh, Chester Cheetah has his own one. Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
The game was fairly terrible too. Yeah, Game Grumps did an episode of that. It had bugs aplenty. So cool. Anything else? Basically, people get in touch with you is the big question.
Yeah, any and all social media, I'm there for the most part. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all the fun stuff.
Human Tack Board on Instagram. I'll throw it out there.
Either Leroy Patterson or Human Tack Board. And Sneak Kings on YouTube. Just type in Sneak and then Kings with a Z. And you'll find us. We got 3 episodes up so far. More coming on the way.
By the way, how many copies that do you have?
I'm sorry?
How many copies do you have? I'm sorry, I should have asked that.
Oh, of Sneak King?
I think it's
over 2,800.
Yeah. Okay. So close to 3,000.
Yeah, very close.
Yeah, a specific number. It's like, all right, this is 2,943 here.
Yeah, so we have a PO box where people send us copies, and we just got a bunch of them, and so I haven't added those in yet. So I know it's over 2,800. I'll figure out the exact. I kind of got to do a recount at this point because I want that exact number. But yeah, we're over 2,800 at this point.
So I've got to wonder, because with a number like that, is there like maybe some sort of a Guinness World Record for like the largest collection of a single item?
So I know, a buddy of mine that I work with, he is part of a group called Everything's Terrible, and they have, I think they have the largest collection of one item, and it would be the VHS copy of Jerry Maguire. They opened up a whole video store. They've built a pyramid, like a legit pyramid out of they're the kings of that realm. But if we're talking like single video games, it's possible. I don't know. There may be another person with a bigger collection. I don't know. But it's not something I'm totally against going for, because I have petitioned for many Guinness World Record attempts. I wanted to do one. I was 18 and I pitched it, and I almost got on the TV show, and then they were like, "No, it's too violent, can't do it." I wanted to wrap myself in barbed wire and then see how many consecutive rolls I could get on the floor, like horizontally, like rolling in barbed wire.
Oh my god!
And they won't take the thumbtack thing. I've tried. They're like, "No, that's not on brand for us." I'm like, "All right, it's gonna be a good one though."
Well, yeah, Guinness really shies away from the blood, but
yeah,
you would actually wrap yourself up in barbed wire just to see like how often you can get like constantly pricked by it.
It wouldn't be. It wouldn't be counting how many times I've been stabbed. It's how many like laying like as if I was like wrapped like this.
Okay,
and then I lay on the floor, and then I see how many times I can roll over in like a minute or something like that. Like.
Oh, okay. So how many times you can just like spin and spin and spin?
Yeah, roll on the floor while I'd be getting stabbed in the process, but
until you pass out from blood loss. Yeah,
man, that's fine.
Your body will make more.
My body keeps making that stuff. It's good. That's how I look so young.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, listen. Enjoy. What do they say? If you enjoy what you do, you never work a day in your life. So in your case, it isn't really work. I mean, you talked about the fact that afterwards you feel pain, but. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say it's mostly true. There have been times. So I worked in the game industry for 10 years,
Yes,
and yeah, and it's the worst. It's the worst job ever. I love playing video games. I love it. I even like making them. Like I've been making one on the side for Giphy. And yeah, no, that is the worst job I've ever had and probably will ever have, and I'd never do it again. It's the worst. Being forced to do something you really enjoy for, from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. 6 days a week is the worst. And it makes me hate life. So it, as with anything, moderation is the key.
Software, yeah. Basically, I did QA work for a software company, and I know exactly. It's not, it's not as glorious as it's made out to be. It's like, oh, you can play video games before they come out. No, you document every single bug and every glitch, and you document. It's so much documentation. It sucked.
Yeah.
So yeah, I understand why you do that. You did 10 years of God. So.
Yeah, I had times where I worked on Guitar Hero 5 and Band Hero and Duke Nukem Forever. Like those were tolerable, but working on Dora the Explorer on the Nintendo DS or Flying Dutchman on the PS2 for months and hearing "Hi Patrick, hi!"
What you're saying is Nickelodeon games.
You're ready, kids, and it's like, no, another horrible day in my existence. Which is why I do what I do now.
Much good on you from both rounds. So. But yeah, coming back to this again, how can people get in touch with you? You mentioned Human Tack. Well, I want to revisit that proper. So
yeah, so any social media, look up Leroy Patterson, look up Human Tack Board. Chances are it's me. And add me. I'm super social. If you got questions, whatever, hit me up. Happy to answer them. And YouTube, look up Sneak Kings and look up Leroy Patterson. There's channels for each. And then go to Giphy.com and look up the account Leroy Patterson. My GIFs have 10.7 billion views. There's a lot of really fun ones on there. So I suggest you check them out.
Yeah. Well, that I can throw up there anyway. Like I said, Human Tack Board on Instagram, at Tackboard on Twitter, and Sneak Kings on YouTube. I believe I got that right. I believe I typed that right. My typing accuracy.
Human Tack Board on
Twitter. It's the Human Tack. I'm sorry.
Oh no,
so we're gonna fix. I am a cotton-headed ninny muggins.
Oh, don't say those things. That's rough.
So
we
tell them not to, but I mean, who's it gonna watch?
You're insulting my friend right now, and I don't like it.
So we got it right there, but yeah, dude. I mean, anything else? Basically, anything on the horizon right now? Or,
any full moon movies, maybe?
Check out the Go Big Show. It's still airing, and it's awesome. I got a lot of friends on there that are doing some really, really wild stuff. That's it for now. I just finished a whole bunch of projects, and I'm taking a moment to actually play video games. I'm most of the way beating Hades right now. It's so good. I just beat Inscription on PC. That was excellent. But yeah, new projects coming up real soon. We'll see if AEW calls us back. Fingers crossed. Go on Twitter and tell Tony Khan, tell the AEW official, hey, more Leroy, more Howdy Price, please.
Dude, you've got the personality for it. You really do. And the desire to do it. No, dude, you have the passion and the desire. And that is a telling thing. That's what, like I said, that's what sold Cody on Go Big Show.
And I got the sweet ass too. Don't discount the ass.
Thing, really.
I would say yes. You have a nice white ass.
Thank you.
So complimentary stuff.
But yeah, dude, this has been awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate this.
Oh, for sure. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate
it. Figure this out. As you have more things happening, I'd love to have you back on.
Great.
Plug everything. Good to me. Basically, we would love to basically, plug everything you've got, make everything happen. So that way you can come at some point, you can remember. It's like, oh yeah, I remember those little people back then. But no, Leroy, you've been 100% awesome, man.
It's self-deprecating.
Yeah. I'm gonna get snowed in this weekend with everything coming on. I might just go ahead and watch Killjoy and Ginger Dead Man just to see.
Oh yeah. Oh, Killjoy 4. That's the good stuff right there.
Domination. You can't forget animation domination. You did a bunch of that too. So
Yeah, I work for Fox ADHD. If you go
and Neo Yokio, which is actually a very underrated anime type show.
Neo Yokio was nuts to work on because the company was in the middle of closing down. There was like 8 of us left in the office, and I was the last editor on that thing because everyone else was like, "Screw it, I'm out of here. I got another job. I'm gone." And I rode that thing into the ground, and it was great. I had a ton of time working with Ezra Miller from Vampire Weekend, and yeah, we just had just a crazy time working on a really fun show.
Yeah, if you ever come back, I definitely gotta like pick your brain about that stuff
for sure.
So, anime freak out of the 3 of us that really, 4 of us to do the show. So,
awesome.
I mean, there's so much more I'd actually want to ask you, but obviously we're short on time.
No worries. Yeah, anytime. Have me back whenever.
Yeah, like I said, with this whole setup that we have, I do want to cater a lot of it to what you want to talk about. So if you want to talk about gaming, you want to talk about anime, and you want to give the wrestling stuff a break, fine. I don't care. Like I said, it doesn't. I mean, we can discuss anime hardcore. That is not an issue in this case here. We're geeky enough and proud to be geeky enough to be able to talk that. So yeah, we'll have you back on. I'd love to do it, man. So.
Yep, sounds good to me.
All right. So thank you as always. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate it. I'm Scott. Have a great day. Like I said, you can find us Tales on the Film Set on Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, and also YouTube as well. And in the fetal position is Leroy. You're right there. So have a good, like I said, have a good day. If you're in the Northeast, stay out of the snow best you can. Take care. Stay awesome.
Oh, and Leroy stuff, don't try that at home.